The reason why autistic people come off as offensive to other people is not because they're actually saying something that's actually inherently offensive, but because most people are so used to hearing filtered answers or filtered feedback or beating around the bush or people just not being direct. Like if you actually think about this, a lot of people operate off of passivity, passive aggressiveness, right? So a lot of people actually are always being offensive without just being direct, right? But when autistic people just say things that are just direct and there isn't actually an intended offense to this, they're just saying something that's truthful, whether it's objectively truthful or they're just saying what they think. They're just making a statement. And on top of that, they're not saying anything else on top of what they're saying. You know how a lot of people, and sometimes I even have to catch myself, and the reason why I'm able to be unbiased about this is because I can actually see from both sides, right? Because I'm holistic, so I can also see how autistic people process and also communicate, and I can even see the difference. Because previously, I've had issues with this. I actually had to work through this consciously. Okay, anyways, I digress. My point, going back to this, is autistic people will just say what they want to say directly, and particularly in text messages, right? It's already missing tonality. It's already, missing nuance or context because it's just text, right? So that actually means that the person reading the text is now going to project their own things or what they think the other person is saying into the words, right? And this doesn't even have to be just about text conversations. It can be just anything. I'm just talking about a situation where an autistic person is saying something directly with no other implied meaning, but the person who is not autistic just taking it the wrong way because they're implying their own perception into what the other person's saying. And because in our society, most people walk around unhealed, unprocessed, and unaware of themselves, it means that people are carrying all types of assumptions and even self-judgment. And like they're just carrying a lot of shit that they don't need to be carrying because of trauma, because of societal conditioning, all that stuff. So when they're encountering an autistic person who just speaks directly and literally with no implication, no other subtext, then they are walking in with they're basically facing a mirror, because when you're given a neutral statement, you have to understand this. A statement itself can be neutral, but if the recipient of the statement is carrying a lot of thoughts, then the person cannot receive the neutral statement in a neutral form because they're taking it in their own interpreted way. This is why a lot of miscommunication happens between autistic people and holistic people. Now, I also know I'm not trying to group every autistic person in the same group. Like, everybody is not a monolith, like the same with holistic people, right? But also it has other factors as well, like, other forms of intelligence, like emotional intelligence or communication skills. Like, there are other things that are going to make up about how you comprehend things and your level of communication and perception, etc., etc., etc. But I'm making general statements. Anyways, my point here, I guess this video is particularly for autistic people. If you've had issues with like communication with people and you've always been the one questioning yourself, and now you've probably internalized a lot of these situations where you've just been misunderstood so many times, and now you think there's something wrong with you. Well, I'm telling you, now, multiple things can be true at the same time. I'm not saying that everybody's perfect, and no one's perfect here. But if you've only been around neurotypical people or people who are like neurodivergent but who are not autistic, so people just have different communication styles, and you've always been misunderstood, and you just feel like people just don't understand you, it's not a blame game, right? You have to just understand that we live in a society where people just walk around with a lot of unprocessed trauma, like I said. So therefore, when you make a statement, people are not going to take it as a literal statement. People respond to what they think that the other person's saying, rarely to the actual statement. Like I said, I can verify this because I'm telling you, even as an holistic person, aka non-autistic person, but also who's very versed in the topic, because I've actually educated myself. A lot of my clients are neurodivergent, autistic, ADHD, whatever. So I actually had to cognitively learn about these things. Why? Because I wanted to be better. I wanted to improve myself in understanding people, because as spiritual as I am, and meaning that I have gifts that allow me to connect with people so effortlessly, but still it needs my brain, like my brain needs logical processing for me to fully understand like how people function, right? So because it's like, in order for me to articulate what I'm sensing from people, I have to be able to articulate logically. So anyways, I'm always open to learning and education, and I actually like situations where I don't understand other people. And again, I initially did not understand how autistic people process. And anyways, I'm just telling you my background. Like, it's like I can see all sides, but I'm also giving you guys a validation that it's just gonna be hard. And ideally, people who are not autistic should be more empathetic and lean towards understanding it better, because I would like to think, now I don't think that I'm like a typical normal brain because of my gifts, and I do think that I have a very high intelligence, so I already know I'm not even like a typical non-autistic person. But I'm just still telling you that if you're not autistic, you do possess the ability to look at different perspectives and angles. So I'm giving you the validation. It should be the other person giving you this understanding and validation, but if they're not doing it, it's because they're ignorant and they don't want to. Because it is more uncomfortable for someone to have to learn about something they don't understand, and that's why most people will not try to understand you. Maybe it's not even like a non-holistic thing, but it's a human thing, where people don't normally give empathy to situations where they don't understand it. Because the whole reason why I had to, well, I didn't have to do shit, but the reason why I got into learning about this deeper is because I had I had a friend who was autistic, and like we were experiencing communication issues. So I actually used that to my advantage to learn about this thing, because I genuinely couldn't understand it. So anyways, sometimes people have to go through their own situations to maybe like be inspired to learn deeper. My point here is, I hope you're keeping up with me. I keep like going off track. A lot of people are going to misunderstand you, and a lot of people are going to assume that you're putting meaning behind your sentences. It's not because you're saying something. It's like literally in the society, people hear what they want to hear. I mean, that's how this world is designed. Like I already mentioned in this video, people rarely say like the truth. People don't say what they mean. Most people don't anyway. I do. I think that's also why I attract a lot of like neurodivergent people, because they love my directness. They love my assertion. They love that I can actually speak about my mind and stand on that truth and be very direct and things like that. Although I'm not always a literal speaker. Anyways, most people will not see your side, and you will feel isolated and lonely. But don't you dare question yourself in the sense of like there's something wrong with you. No, everybody's different. The problem here is the society. They want people to conform, and they want people to act the same. That's why people like yourself with like a different type of thinking, now you're gonna feel left out. So I'm just saying, I see you, I understand you. So just know that it's normal to feel frustrated and agitated, because it's like you feel like a crazy person because everybody else seems to operate off of this social games or whatever, and you can't even be bothered, or you don't understand. You try, that you can't seem to conform. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's the society, okay? It's the society that promotes conformity and complacency. So I'm just telling you, I see you and I understand you. And unfortunately, empathy is not something that people practice. I mean, people can say, oh, I'm empathetic and things like that. But no, most people only say that as far as they're comfortable. Most people will not extend empathy to people or groups of people that they don't personally relate to. And it's really unfortunate. But that doesn't mean that you should change who you are. There's nothing wrong with you. You just have to embrace yourself and find people that accept you for who you are.